Hello guys, in this video I will discuss on encapsulation in C Sharp. Encapsulation is the OOPS concept. So firstly, we discuss on what is an encapsulation and how to achieve encapsulation in C Sharp with practical. So let's discuss. So here encapsulation, here I show a class. In this class, data member and member functions are bind together into a class. So this is encapsulation. Encapsulation, this concept will discuss with the help of a image. So here, encapsulation is like a capsule, and in this capsule, different medicals are wrapped into a single capsule. Like data member and member functions are wrapped within a single capsule, and this capsule like a class. So this concept is called encapsulation. Encapsulation is achieved by making data member as a private, and for access to this data member, we use member functions to make public. In encapsulation, encapsulation is achieved for we can't access direct data member directly or to restrict to access data member directly. For accessing this data member, we use method. So for this reason, this method to make public. For security, encapsulation is used to hide data member for protection. So I will discuss how to achieve this encapsulation with practical. So here my app, this project I created here, and program.cs is as default class created here, and in this class public static void main method is created, and in this method one console dot write line statement is written here, and this statement print hello world on a console. So for achieving encapsulation, firstly we have to make one class. So I click on my app and add a class and give the class name is student and extension is .cs and then add. So here student class is created and internal this keyword is used here because this class is accessed within a my app this package. Okay, so firstly we have to declare data member, and for achieving encapsulation this data member we have to make private. So student related properties, student related attributes I write here, like private int its id student id. Next, private name string name. Okay, so this is data member, and make private this data member make private, so we can't access directly this data member. For accessing or initialize this data member, we have to created methods, and this method we make public. Okay, so there are three ways to achieve encapsulation. First way to make data member as a private and public getter and setter. So here I write getter setter methods. So firstly we have to set id. So I use here public void set id method. Okay, for assigning value of id, here I use int id parameter, and this dot id is equal to id. Current id is equal to this parameter id. Okay, so next method is public return. We have to return id. So here I return type use int, and get id is a method name, and return this method return id. So here I use return this dot id. Okay, and next method is for name. So here public string get name, and return this dot name. Okay, so here I also one method is right here for set I string name, for setting name. So here set name this dot name is equal to name. Okay, so here I use data member as a private and public getter and setter. This is the first approach. Okay, then I save this, and from this main method I created student object using new keyword, and using reference student reference I assign value using set id and set name. Okay, so I set id is 1, and using student reference I assigning value set name using setter method, and you the name is Prithvi. Okay, for accessing its value I use getter method. So for print this value I use console dot write line, and here I display some information student id, and here using reference I access its id, get id, and also student name I use student reference dot get name. Okay, so getter method, get id and get name. This getter method I access its name and id. So I save this and run the application. So output is student ID 1 and student name is Prithvi. So using data member as a private and using getter and setter, this method public method we access initialize and access private data. So this is first way to achieve encapsulation. So second way is uh, using property method. So I comment this. Okay, so here I use property method public. We have to get and set ID. So here I use public ID, public int ID, and in this method we get and set ID. So get return ID, and set ID is equal to value. This is property method. Second, public string name, and in this get and set get return name, and next set name is equal to value. So this is second approach, property method. Okay, so I save this and I comment all this, and here I create one student object student s is equal to new student, and using s dot property method I set id. So I call this id method and initialize id, and next I access name method and give name Sonali. Okay, and in console dot write line I display its value. So here student id s dot I access its id. So I use here id, and next its name student name s dot name. So here I call its method ID and name. Okay, so I save this and run this application. So here student ID 1 and student name is Sonali. So this is second approach using property method. Okay, so third approach is I comment all this. Also this private field I comment this, and here auto implemented getter and setter is used here to make this field public. I use auto implemented getter and setter here. I save this, and from program.cs again I create one more object of student is equal to new student. Here I create new student, and for accessing, so here I use stud. So for setting values I use here curly braces and set value id is equal to 11 and name is equal to Raj. Okay, so I display here on console dot write line student id, and here I use stud dot id and student name stud dot name. Okay, so I save this and run this application. So here student ID 11 and student name is Raj. So this is a third approach. So first approach is to make data member private and using public getter and setter method. Next, using property method. Third one is using auto implemented method. Okay, so using these three methods, we can achieve encapsulation. So encapsulation means to restrict direct access of this data member. For accessing this data member, we use its method. Okay, that means without permission, we can't access this data. So for protecting data or hiding data, we use encapsulation.